Good afternoon, gladiators in suits. Happy Wednesday. It's a hump day. I hope you're having a great day so far. It's been a relatively more loose week for me, so I'm happy about that. But at the same time, because work is relatively better in terms of the load, there's a lot of time to contemplate, and sometimes you get bored, right? And I'm not used to getting bored. I'm used to being frazzled with so many things happening. So, not a good thing. I'm the kind of guy who my joke would be I would get sick if I'm not as busy as I should be. So I hope you're having a good balanced week so far. I'm looking at the chat box again and we're looking at the participants. So Domingo Ogale Jr. says, hello, good afternoon from Duty Free Philippines. We also have some participants as usual from FINMA University of Pangasinan. So saying hi to Arlene, saying hi to Ferdinand, also saying hi to Rush Perusi, who's from STI Cagayan de Oro. Thank you again for joining this session. I see Miss Gina Tamayo again in our session for today. Thank you for joining us. Hello also from Ferdinand, also from Jessa, from Jeline, from Rachel, and from Cheryl. Yeah, you got some lovely names today, guys. So thank you for joining our session. Jody is also here. Joshelle, that's a very unique name. Thank you. Emmy says, good afternoon and watching from Cavite. This is part four of the series, How to Manage Conflicts with Colleagues and Managers. If you happen to be missing out part one and part three, you can still watch them. They're all archived and they're all there for you 100%. All you need to do is to go to the live section of this Facebook page, or you can go to our website, jonathanyabut.com. I also like to remind everyone that this webinar can also be streamed live on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. So if you haven't yet followed or subscribed to our YouTube channel or LinkedIn page, please do so. We'll be very happy to see you online. And if you haven't yet given us a like or a heart, because I am not seeing many likes or hearts yet in this webinar, please give us some. If you could spare and press that button, it will be great. That's the only thing we ask from you. And that inspires us to continue doing these webinars for free. There you go. Now I'm seeing more likes and hearts. Thank you very much. Kevin says, good afternoon. Also, Luz Viminda also says, thank you for this free webinar. No, thank you for being part. A free webinar would not exist if it weren't for the audiences. So you are part of this as well. King Gerani says hello from LinkedIn. Also, Christelle Cameron. And Joseph also says a heart sign. Thank you. Michelle Christine says thanks for the free webinars. Thank you also for joining our free webinars. This is our company, JY Consultancy and Ventures. We specialize in organizational behavior. And so we do workshops and consultations, whether it be offline and online. And you can also see many of our organizations that we have served since 2013. If you happen to see your company's logo, thank you, because you've been part of our growth for the past 8 years. I can't believe it's been 8 years now since we started also this journey. If you'd like to watch the past webinars, including parts 1 to 3 of this topic, you can scan the QR code or you can go to our website, jonathanyabut.com/webinars. Jaya Alvior and Joelana Teruel also says hello, and they're also watching from LinkedIn. Thank you for joining today's session. As usual, if you'd like to claim an optional certificate for this webinar, you can do so by scanning also the QR code, or if you cannot scan right now, you can claim certificates by copying the link into your browser. Last commercial. You always know, guys, that we give away prizes for you. And today's going to be the special day because we're going to be adding more prizes on top that what we usually give to our participants. What do you need to do? Simple. All you need to do is to share this webinar on your Facebook or LinkedIn feed. Okay? Share this webinar on your Facebook or LinkedIn feed. We are going to randomly selecting some participants later on. And if you happen to be that person, you are eligible to win our prizes. John, what are the prizes for today? Well, number one, I'm going to give away 2 tickets to our Saturday, this coming Saturday. That's going to be the session, Email Etiquette and Business Writing. It's an online workshop to improve ways of writing business reports, emails, and instant messages. I'm also going to be giving away a new topic, 2 free tickets. This is a new topic on October 29, Leadership in Time of Quarantine, an online workshop for managers, leaders, and supervisors. We'd be very happy to have you in this session. Two tickets are also going to be given away. And finally, an addition to our family. I am very pleased that we have a sponsor for today's webinar, and that is Urban Smiles Dental Clinic. And they have branches all around Metro Manila, including Cebu as well. We are going to give away two lucky winners a 200 peso gift certificate. And in the future, I'd like to even increase that price. But for now, as an introductory part, we're going to give away two winners with 200 pesos worth of gift certificates. Confidence isn't just about being able to speak your mind. Confidence is also about being able to beam that confident smile. So, courtesy of Urban Smiles Dental Clinic, make sure you share this webinar on your newsfeed, and I will be calling out randomly two lucky winners. Okay? So Mark Lacanilao says, "Hello, Jonathan. I listen to you big time. Thank you for listening to our webinars as well." Okay, so let's start. Keep the chat box as noisy as you can. Participate in the poll if I ask questions. And then finally, please do raise your queries. This is not a podcast. This is not a recorded webinar. This is live interaction. And so I'll be asking you to please type your questions. I'll display them on the screen so that the other viewers can also share their comments about your concerns. All right. Today's agenda is simple. We're going to be sharing three conflict situations at work, and we're going to be crowdsourcing from you, from the participants, what can we do about them? So here's the first career question. And the question was shared by Thong from Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. And he says, "Jonathan, I am not asking for a promotion because I totally understand that this involves expansion of my role and leadership skills. However, I have been covering the job of two staff members who resigned last year. I am doing well, so well that it seems management forgot to hire the replacements." See, that's the problem sometimes. I call that as the employee paradox. You're doing so well that they don't see the point that they have to get back those employees because they can rely on you. So that's the paradox about it. "I continue to enjoy what I do, but I also think I deserve a raise. Do I have a strong case to ask for that salary raise?" Okay. Can I get an exclamation mark from our participants if you find this something that you can relate to? May not have happened to you, but it has happened to a friend, a colleague, someone that you know, or something similar that happened to you. Very fitting in the time of COVID-19 because let's face it, guys, not all companies are keen to increase salaries these days. Everyone's working on a tight budget. People are letting go of some people. Managers are not hiring new employees, right? So I'm looking at the chat box. Lots of folks are typing exclamation mark. That's cool. So before we give some considerations about this, I want to ask our participants this question. Rate this statement 1 to 5, 5 as strongly agree. This employee deserves to get an employee raise for the additional work that he does. Okay? Could you please rate this statement? I'd love to see. Alowen Apid says, listening with Admu Jong Gokongwei School of Management, PhD in Leadership Studies cohorts. God bless you with more wisdom, Jonathan. Thank you for taking time to watch this session. Ooh, lots of number 5 in the chat box as well. Mark Lacanilao says, sorry, Michelle says 5. Jennifer says 5. Okay, I'm not surprised that people are giving a number 5 in this case. And personally, I do think that he does merit a salary raise. The problem, however, is that there's a difference and there's a disconnect between deserving it and the company being able to do it. So let us look at a few considerations first. Number 1, please take note that filling in for an absent employee temporarily, a few weeks, maybe a few months, 2 months or 3 months max will be the one I will give, is normal. However, permanently taking the job of two more people is unacceptable. Okay? There's no law that penalizes you. However, it's just unethical. It's like you're enslaving the person to do beyond what they have signed up for. If your boss gets pregnant and gives birth, likely in the Philippines at least, or in many parts of Southeast Asia, you can fill in for someone else's job for 2 months or 3 months. However, if that's been there for like a year, you're not anymore filling in. You are permanently taking care of someone else's job. And that's unfair, right? And that's also a sign that someone is taking advantage of your situation. Can I get the letter A from the chat box? If you're in the same boat with that. Filling in for 1 year is not temporarily filling in. That is assuming, absorbing someone else's job. Now, unless the company tells you that this is going to be the way it is, right? They should not be misleading you to think that this is something that will only happen for a few months, right? If you want, if you're a company and you're a manager and you think that this is going to be the situation for a long time, you ought to be transparent to your employees so they can properly gauge if they want to stay in the company or if they should speak up because something else needs to be given to them, right? Number two, what I would recommend to Thong in this case is to schedule a discussion with your manager and explain. So here's the critical part. You don't want to sound like you're giving up. Neither do you want to sound like you are complaining. Technically, you are complaining, but you don't want to sound like you're disengaged with work because you said it to me, Thong. You are engaged. You love what you are doing. So you have to appear and you have to sound that you are definitely sincerely engaged at work. However, what you're after is fairness and sustainability. This arrangement cannot happen for a long period of time because it's not good not only for you as an employee, but also for the company in general, right? So raise the idea of fairness. This is point number three. Consider asking and using the statements such as, boss, how long will the arrangement be? Could you give me a timeline? It will be great so that I can visualize my future. I get to visualize my stay in the company. And should the company decide to make it permanent? Because it seems like it's starting to become permanent. It seems like the trajectory is towards that role becoming permanent. Ask the question, how does this affect my role and my compensation? Tong, you are on the right track. You're not complaining because you're trying to become a prima donna here. You have all the reasons to say that this is not being fair, right? Now, my other consideration, however, to Thong here is that you have to have an open mind because while you do deserve it, the company can always say, we are very sorry, we cannot expand your salary because this is the only thing that the company can give, considering the economic crunch that we are feeling right now, right? So, what they're implying is that if you want to quit your job, we have no ways of keeping you and we'd rather take in someone who will be able to accommodate all the roles and the scopes that are required for this job, right? Of course, I do think that Thong has a good leverage here. If he threatens to resign, it's bad news for the company because not only are they going to get a person, they need to convince a person that his job is for three people. It needs retraining, it needs a lot of orientation, a lot of briefing. That's cost to the company. So there's a big chance that they will not let go of Thong. And Thong therefore is in a good position to negotiate and say, if you want me to stay, here's what I would like to get. I also want to highlight, if you want to stay in the company, Thong, and the company cannot give it to you in additional cash, there are other ways to negotiate. Negotiate in kind. You might want to ask for more additional leaves, expansion of your health insurance, more allowances, because allowances do not usually get taxed. So if cash cannot be added on top of your salary, try to negotiate in kind. Many times, the company will also allow this to happen if they want to keep you staying in the organization. Okay. So I'm looking at the chat box here. Uh, Anne Olano says transparency on the side of management should also help. That's right. Right. The best leaders are rated as great leaders if they make sure that their employees are informed along the way. What's the plan? What's going to happen to my career? What's going to happen to my happiness at work? Is the company still stable to begin with? Because you're telling me that you cannot even expand my salary for what I've been doing, right? Ronan also says, be assertive with your data when presenting to your manager. So this is the important part, and thank you for raising this, Ronan. When you talk to your manager, that includes asking for a salary raise, don't just ask it because you want it. You have to give proof, right? You have to give some anecdotes. So this is not a difficult thing to do in the case of Tom because he has all the proof to show it. You asked me to accomplish the work of two people and I've been doing well. It's been X number of months now. There must be a plan after this. Okay. So Samantha also echoes the same thing. Thank you for raising that. Show the facts and figures like the X number of hours that he spends in working on the tasks assigned for the resigned staff. I agree. His work output in terms of metrics or reports. So you can be as specific or numerical, such as prior to COVID 19 or prior to the resignation of the two employees, I was only crafting two reports, but now I'm doing six reports, right? And you can say that despite that, there has been no significant impact to the revenues of the business. What does this mean? It means I'm doing well. I'm doing well despite covering for those two employees. So thank you. All right. Hats also said, so totally true. It's not like you're asking, it's not like ask if you're walking in the dark, then boom, here comes the reorg, right? The least that many employees don't want is to be surprised or taken aback, right? You're happily doing your PowerPoint slides, and then come the next day, they announce that you're going to be moved to a different department or you are going to take on another project without even sharing with them how does this align with my career progression? How does this align with my goals in the organization if I want to keep on staying in the company, right? Okay, so thank you for raising your thoughts. All right. Can I get an exclamation mark if we are realizing and learning something so far? I hope we are. Very good. Thank you. All right, let's do a quick raffle time. Are you guys ready for this? So, as promised a while ago, we are going to give away one lucky winner. So, two lucky winners, one for now, another later on. So, please stay tuned. We're going to give away 200 pesos worth of GC to one lucky participant. So, if you happen to be the person that I call, please claim your prize by sending an email to the email address below. Okay. So Urban Smiles Dental Clinic, and by the way, I'm very happy to promote that because my teeth, my smile is taken good care of Urban Smiles. So I'm saying hello to Ange and to also Doc RFD, who's been diligent in taking good care of my teeth and my smile. If you guys are ready, the catch here is simple. I'm gonna call out the participant who has shared this webinar on their Facebook feed or in their LinkedIn feed. If you haven't done that yet, I'm giving you a few seconds now so you can have time to do that. All right. Make sure, by the way, that your account is on public mode because that's the only way for us to see that you have shared this webinar publicly. Okay. If you guys are you guys ready? I hope you are. Let's see who has shared this webinar. Okay. My winner, ladies and gentlemen, for the first 200 peso gift certificate, the name is Charvi Inventado. Congratulations, Charvi Inventado. Charvi, if you are listening to this, how do you claim your prize? Send an email to this email address at the bottom of the screen. Please look at that. Please also take a screenshot of this just so that you don't forget what are you exactly getting. It's a 200 peso worth of gift certificate. You can use that for your prophylaxis, for your cleaning, for your consultation, or for whatever aesthetic dental procedure you'd like to make as well. Okay, congratulations, Charby. Let's give an exclamation mark to our winner. By the way, for those who haven't yet given us a like, or a heart, please do so. I'm still not getting a lot of likes and hearts in the webinar. It will be great to see more of that. More likes and more hearts means that you are ready to continue for the next part of our session. All right. Let's move on to question number two. Let's look at situation number two. So here is the question. Okay. Jonathan, this is a question from Jose from Manila, Philippines. After months of giving him a chance, I have given up on my colleague, which I will label as Mr. Bossy Pants, who's been bossing me around as if I report to him. There are lots of people like this. You know, when I my first ever job, and it was in a telecommunications company, I still remember that woman who bossed me around. Right? God bless her. But this was like she was like 1 year ahead of me. She happens to be in the same management training program. Unfortunately, she was quietly and discreetly assigning me some projects that my boss didn't know. And I was still so young. I didn't know that I was not supposed to do them. But she was passing it on to me. So I can relate, Jose, to what you're trying to say here. So Jose says, he asks me often if I've submitted my reports, and he comments a lot on my slides, even if I don't care about his feedback. He's hovering like a helicopter, and it's irritating me. How do I manage a colleague who acts like my boss? Now, before I answer this question, Jose, you might want to look at it in a different perspective. Sometimes we think that someone is bossy, but sometimes in the real world, they just simply care about you. So try to look at it in a different perspective. It's the person is the person really irritating, or is the person extra caring? So that might be something that you may want to consider in this case. So I want to ask our participants first what their answer is. What would you do in the situation of Jose? Letter A, would you confront the person? Letter B, apply the silent treatment until the person just goes away? Or letter C, continue dancing for now, meaning, just keep on listening to what the person is saying, and let this person leave you at some point if they get tired of commenting on your work. Okay? So I'm going to wait for your responses. Where do you fall in this spectrum? What would you do? Would you confront, apply the silent treatment, continue dancing? Okay. So, we got a very mixed set of answers. Some people are typing A, some people are typing B, some people are typing C. Again, there's no right or wrong. There may be a difference here on the context, and art is subjective. And so the art of talking to people will depend on your abilities and skills, the timing, when are you going to do it, the platform, are you going to confront the person face to face or via Zoom, or also how your choice of words are crafted. If I were to choose, however, here, if it's something that I don't think I can get on with for a long period of time, I will not wait. I'm going to confront the person. So my answer here will be letter A. I will acknowledge, however, that some people may not be confrontational enough. So you do what suits you, but please take note, if you're not doing anything about it, you don't have the right to complain, right? Because at some point, you have to deal with it. That's how conflicts are managed. They don't magically go away. You have to do something about it. So, a few considerations. It seems like many of our participants are giving a letter A, and there's a good chunk of those who are giving me letter C in this case. So, some considerations I'd like you to cover. Number one, I mentioned this a while ago, be mindful of your reaction. Is this person really being busy, trying to nose around, putting his nose around your projects, or is this person just being genuinely helpful? Right? What you might want to do is to ask and bounce this idea off with others and say, hey, Julia, you know how Jonathan tries to poke on everything that I do? Is it just me, or does he do the same thing to you? Is it just me, or do you think that he's trying to micromanage something that he's not supposed to be working on? Right? That's very important because you want to gain some perspective. You might be biased against this person. Maybe you just don't like this person. That's why you see it from a negative light. Just make sure, however, and here's where you have to be careful, when you confide these issues and feelings with another colleague, make sure that they're not the type of people who will tell you on to this person that you are targeting. So be careful about that. Number two, if you decide to confront the person, you may want to be straightforward with your feelings. Don't beat around the bush because that will weaken and make you will put you into an inferior frame. So say something like, Jonathan, I appreciate the help. Although I think I can manage this separately. If I need help, I will definitely give you a shout out for it. You see what I did there? It's casual, it's still friendly, but at the same time, it sends the message that I got this, right? You don't need to dabble on it. I think I can do this on my own. Can I get an exclamation mark if you see what I did there? I hope you appreciate it's really about the choice of words in this case. Okay. And finally, number three, here's an alternative solution. Sometimes the silent treatment works. Okay. That's why for those who said it's a silent treatment solution, you may be on the right track. Because when someone opens up a conversation about your work, you can give them a quick, okay, sure, noted, and you know this. Applying enough tone and pitch and sometimes body language, when you give a short response to someone, it sends a message that you are acknowledging it, but you don't want to engage further. And at times, when you say it in this manner, the person gets the point. Have you been in those, even in text communication, have you been in those text messaging thread wherein the person responds with K, right? When someone responds to me and says K, it only means one thing. They're not in a mood to talk more about it. But noted, I got your point. Or I am not in full agreement with it, but K, noted, right? So sometimes silent treatment works, and sometimes silent treatment will be applicable to those people who don't know how to react to short responses. Sometimes people will keep on engaging you more if you talk to them back. It sends them a wrong message that you like their comments, right? So this is where you are probably sending some wrong signals to the person. A better way to tell them that you have had enough of it is not to engage any further. A good example of that is when you are in a mall. So let's say you happen to be in a mall and there's this salesperson who is very pushy, giving you brochures, giving you flyers. You know what's a better way to, and let's say you are sincerely in a hurry. You cannot engage someone asking you questions or selling you something. You know what's a better way to let them go? Simply wave your hand and say, no, thank you. And that's it. The more you engage a salesperson, unfortunately, the more you give them an opening to talk to you, right? So sometimes silent treatment in this case works. Okay. Looking at the chat box right now, can I get another exclamation mark if we are learning something so far? So this is diversity, different strokes for different folks. You might want to study the profile of the person. Is the person responsive with silent treatment? Is the person responsive with direct confrontation? Okay, all good? I want to remind our participants, by the way, if you'd like to get an optional certificate for this webinar, you can scan the QR code or you can also copy the link into your browser. Let's give away now a free ticket. This is Email Etiquette and Business Writing. It's an online workshop on how to improve ways of writing business reports, emails, and instant messages. It's happening on Saturday. We still have a few slots, but for tonight, we are going to give away 2 free tickets to lucky winners. Okay? All good? I hope you are, because I am going to check out now our participants who have shared this webinar on their news feed. I hope you guys are ready for this. If you are, let me call out now our participants. So the first one, my winner, ladies and gentlemen, the name is, and make sure you have shared this webinar on your Facebook feed or LinkedIn feed. The first one is Alita Allen. Congratulations, Alita Allen. Very good. My second winner, who's going to get another free ticket here, the name is Maria Christine Años. Maria Christine Años. Congratulations for our 2 winners who's going to get 2 tickets. Please claim your prize by copying the code, copying the internet, the link into your internet browser, or you can scan the QR code as well. Okay. If you'd like to attend our session, we have a few slots left. This is happening on Friday, 10 o'clock to 11:30. The rate is 799 pesos, email etiquette and business writing. And we also have discounts for those who want to join as a group, 3 plus 1 for free, and also 8 plus 3 for free. Okay. Congrats, Alita. Congrats to Maria. All right. Let's proceed now. Let's go to the third part. So here's a question from Mark, 28 years old and a software engineer from Manila, Philippines. Jonathan, I recently tendered my resignation letter because I cannot bear anymore my unhappy relationship with my boss. The head of our department, and that is the boss of my boss, having discovered this, counter offered and asked me to stay with a 10% increase in my salary and the promise of reporting to a different boss. By the way, that has to be a very generous. That's a very generous offer. Not every department head transfers you to a different team. They probably want you so bad, Mark. So the question is, Jonathan, would you take this change? Would you stay in the company instead now that you've tendered your resignation letter? So I want to ask our participants first, what do you think about this? Evaluate. If I were Mark, I am okay to return given a 10% increase in salary and the promise of working for a different manager. Could you please rate this statement from 1 to 5? 5 as strongly agree. Let's see that. I want to see which people are going to say yes or no to this. Of course, I don't want to be biased, but I will say yes, there is a merit to considering it, but not quite sure about a 10% increase because that might not be high enough. Plus, you're going back not because of the money, you're going back because of the happiness that you were missing out all these times. So I'm looking at the chat box. Some people are giving me a number 3, number 1. Some people are giving me a number 5 as well. Okay, again, it will depend on your perspective and it will also depend on your needs at that time, right? Perhaps you haven't yet found a job yet. So you probably are willing to go back because it assures your financial sustainability in the time of the pandemic. Okay, so I want to see our participants. So here are a few candies I'd like to give to you. I want to know if you're about to resign but boss gives you a counter offer, could you please pick one or up to three candies that will make you stay? Could you please type? It will be great for me to find out what kinds of viewers do we have these days. So if I were to personally choose, what would the third? So assuming here that I will definitely stay in the company, all right? So I would say a 30% is a very big increase. 30% is way higher than 10%. So that will change my mind. That's one. Number two, uh, I love traveling and I miss it so much. And I think being able to work in a different city or country is not only going to excite me, it's also going to help me learn new things. So I would say number 1 and number 9, right? So I have the same response as Roseanne, number 9 as well. Samantha says number 3, change of boss, 1, salary, and then number 8, more medical benefits. Ooh, I missed that out. Yeah, medical benefits is very helpful in the time of pandemic. So that was something that I would also consider. Okay. Connie Lascuna says number 3, a change of boss. Right? Connie, is that because you don't like your boss as of the moment? I'm kidding. So again, to each his own. In my case, in my situation right now, I would love to get a 30% salary increase. I'm itching to live. I would give the world if my favorite city in the world, my 3 favorite cities in the world, Tokyo, I would prior to COVID-19, I would always be in Tokyo at least once or twice a year. My second favorite city would be Istanbul in Turkey. Such an amazing rich culture, the food, the people, the architecture, and it's very central in Europe and in Asia. My third would be which one would I choose? Uh, New York, I guess, although I feel dangerous these days going to United States. I would say Hong Kong would be great as well because it's very cosmopolitan. Right. Oh, Buenos Aires, also one of my favorite cities. So there. So looking at the chat box again, uh, 1, 8, and 9 says Vanji. That's higher salary, more medical benefits, and a new city or country assignment. Okay, so thank you. Here are a few considerations to raise if you are gonna say yes or no to a counter offer. So number one, please always weigh the increase in financial benefit versus the happiness. Remember, the issue here of the person, of Mark, is that he's not happy at work, perhaps because of friction, because of personality conflict between him and his boss. So, is 10% really worth that? If you're, I'm going to give you an example. If you're earning only 50,000 pesos a month, let's say 50,000 pesos a month, remember that 10% is relative to the absolute value. 10% of 50,000 pesos is 5,000 pesos. 50,000 pesos is like 100 US dollars. 5%, 10% of that is 100. Sorry, 5,000, yeah, 100 US dollars in this case. So you might want to ask yourself, will that increase, and I would say it's a marginal increase, be worth it? If it's going to cost you that same amount of stress, you wake up in the morning unhappy and all these things, will it really be worth it? Take note that quick fixes will never solve a deep rooted issue. If the bigger issue is personality, you will be happier if that part is taken away from the picture, right? So always weigh that. Don't be glorified by the cash that's laid out in front of you. Money can't buy all the happiness you need in the world. Number two, so here's where I share no counter offer will be worth it if the same problems will still be in the organization. Yes, you're going to be reporting to a new boss, but who is that new boss? So I want you, Mark, before you say yes, try to investigate. Are you going to get along well with this new manager? Would it be good to have a one-on-one discussion first with that new manager? Try to ask other people around, how is your relationship with this person, right? Because if it's going to be the same issue again, different person, same personality issue, then it defeats the purpose of staying in the company, right? Finally, third one, be mindful of the relationships that may be damaged if you choose to stay. Remember, the moment you start resigning and you go back, there is always that stigma. I'm sorry, guys, but there's always going to be a stigma. You will be known as that person by HR and by your bosses. He wanted to leave, but he stayed, which means you've come to a point, you've come to a verge that you've given up, that you think you cannot anymore manage what's happening in the company. So that stigma is always going to be there. And the moment you go back to the company, you might want to ask, how is that going to affect your reputation? There are bosses who will think that because a counter offer was given to you, you're not anymore 100% loyal to the company. You're not going to give your best anymore. Some people think like that. So look at it this way. How will this affect your reputation in relationships at work? Another example, you may not be reporting to the same boss again, but if you happen to be in the same business unit, will you still have those moments of interacting with this person? Will you still be talking to each other on email and WhatsApp? You might not want that because you have damaged already the relationship. You've given that as an exact reason. The boss, the ex boss, probably knows that he or she is the reason why you initially quit, right? So it might be an awkward relationship if you're still working with them, even if they're not your boss anymore. How will that affect your happiness? How will that affect your performance at work? You might want to consider that as well. Okay. For me, the best kind of counter offer is you are promised to move on to an entirely different unit, that everyone is different. And the chances of you bumping with that same person you can't get along with is zero, okay? Or very, very small. Of course, I don't know the story with Mark. I'm not sure what exactly was the personality issue. The best solution is to always change within rather than changing your environment. So you might also want to consider that part as well. Okay. Lilibeth says, I know someone. Haha. Well, I think I think we all know someone at work who we don't get along with all the time. Right? Okay. Can I get another exclamation mark? Are we learning and grounding ourselves so far about that? I hope we are. Very good. Thank you. Before we proceed, let's give away some prizes again. Let's give away 200 peso gift certificate to one lucky participant who's going to receive this from Urban Smiles Dental Clinic. Okay? Are you guys ready? I hope you are. Okay? So make sure that you have shared this on your Facebook feed or on your LinkedIn feed. And please, winner, if you happen to be the one called out, please claim your prize at marketing@urbansmiles.com.ph. If you guys are ready, and I am also ready, let me call out the person now. My winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Ara Dino Liarina. Ara Dino Liarina, congratulations. You get a 200 peso gift certificate from Urban Smiles Dental Clinic. And please, in order for you to claim your prize, you have to take a screenshot or take a photo of this so you don't forget it and send an email to marketing@urbansmiles.com.ph. Okay? Congratulations. By the way, let me cover one quick commercial break. I'd also like to invite our participants on October 6th, Wednesday, next week. Please come to our session, part 3, Tips to Overcome Your Shyness. Can I get the letter S? If you happen to be shy at times in meetings, presentations, and pitches, if you happen to be one of them, this is the webinar for you. Save the date and save it also in your calendar. Okay. Let me call out a comment here from Angela. Angela says, I had the same experience. I received a counter offer also. Fortunately, I already had the job offer from a company I applied, which had a higher salary and benefits. I am happy now in my current company. Well, it turned out to be better for you, so congratulations. Okay. You know, counter offer will always be about increase in salary, but please take note, and I want to highlight this to our viewers. A counter offer is not just about the money. A counter offer could be a change in situation, a change in your workload, a change in relationship, a change in your benefits. It doesn't have to be cash all the time. Many people think that counter offer is about money. It is not. It can be in kind and situations in many ways. Okay? So just keep on pumping your questions if you have any. In the meantime, I am going to ask the participants, could you please give us a like or a heart? Are you learning something so far? I hope you are. Okay, very good. All good so far? So, my last part, I don't have the poster here. I'm sorry, I forgot to add it. But I have one more prize. We are going to give our participants 2 tickets to our upcoming webinar, Leadership in Time of Quarantine, happening on October 29. I'm going to repeat, Leadership in Time of Quarantine, happening on October 29. Let me choose now again who is going to win those 2 tickets. This is October 29, Leadership in Time of Quarantine. Okay, my 2 winners, ladies and gentlemen. My first one, the name is RV Santa Maria. RV Santa Maria, congratulations for winning. My second winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Jelena, or is this Helena? Helena or Jelena, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce. Jelena Pascual. Congratulations, Jelena Pascual. Congratulations. I don't have the QR code on my screen, but look at the bottom part. Do you see a scrolling marquee? You see that? So please look at that part. Claim your prize by copying that into your internet browser, bit.ly/claim prize. Okay. By the way, let me look at the chat box. Melody says, I wish that there will be a counter offer that will come my way soon. Did you just enter your resignation, Melody? If that's the case. Okay. All right. Here is one more. So I have a question here on LinkedIn. Let's cover this question as well. So the question is, John Is it okay to involve HR if you happen to have a conflict with someone at work? So, this is a very general question. And the answer here would be yes, of course. That's one of the roles of HR to manage conflicts. However, I'd like to request first, before you involve other parties, try to resolve the issue between the two of you or among the people concerned, right? Number one, assess, does it really need to involve other people because it's not that complicated? Can it just be managed by talking to someone, trying to resolve the issue by asking what caused the issue, right? Some people who don't want to cooperate with you, sometimes you have to confront them, set a meeting with them, and ask why. Now, if the person has been uncooperative, no matter how much you send them a message, they haven't been replying to your text, and they've been causing you a lot of harm, then that's the time that you can involve HR. I also want to highlight this. Before you even jump to HR, you might want to ask, can I involve first my manager? Because your manager is your first line defense from any issue happening within the company. So I would go for resolving the issues first between you and the party involved. Number two, you might want to include your manager. And then number three, if you want, you can include HR. Now, when is the time that you can skip your manager? Sometimes when your issue is your boss, and even if you've talked to your boss many times, but the issue is still there, then yes, the HR is there to help you out, right? That could be your business partner, that could be your whoever it is from the people department or from the HR who's involved in managing your concerns that have something to do with personal issues with others. Ooh, Melody says, what if you have a conflict with the HR manager who is an attorney? That's very complicated. You know, regardless of what position the person holds, I often would bounce off first my feelings with other employees, people I can confide and trust. Why? It might be a wrong perspective. I'm being biased against this person, but other people are not seeing the same thing. So bounce it off first before you make judgments. Okay. Nick also says, Nick says, I remember being offered a counter offer, a promotion, because I mentioned it as a big reason for resigning. Despite a really good performance, the director talked to me and told me if I'll stay, if he gets me the promotion in the next couple of months. I declined because if they really think I am worth promoting, they wouldn't wait for my resignation before making it happen. Way happier now. So thank you, Nick, for raising that. I agree. So sometimes it's an issue of your perception and also your integrity and sometimes your ego, right? If you feel uncomfortable that a company treats you like that, then if you think it's worth doing, do so, right? Just make sure that you always cover the other things such as your financial sustainability, right? I will not be surprised if it was a different person other than Nick, someone who's desperate for a promotion because they want an increase in salary. Perhaps they're going to give birth to a kid or starting a new family and they can afford to wait. They'll probably swallow those feelings and say, all right, if you promise that to me and I can wait for 2 more months, then I'll stay. Some people can take on that route, and that is fine. My issue is make sure it's something that makes you happy and engaged at work. Okay. All right. Can I get another exclamation mark? I hope we learned something today. And again, this is part four, so don't worry, we're going to have another part five to make sure we talk about more conflicts and issues at work to give you tips. Right? Jennifer also adds, this is why you should choose a good boss so that if you get into conflict, he or she will be there to help. I agree. If you have an opportunity, because I'm going to disclaim, we don't get to choose our bosses all the time. There are moments when you can. When I was applying for a job and the boss who was interviewing me did not treat me right in the job interview, I declined the job offer. I was able to filter that boss. I was able to choose a boss at some point when the company asked me, do you want to move to Department X or the Department Y? Department Y had a better boss in terms of career management and leadership. I chose that boss. Those, those moments are rare, but when you happen to have it, grab it by the horns and choose a good boss. Sometimes the one thing that can promote you at work is not a good project, not good timing, and not good skills. Sometimes it's a good boss. And that's how life can be random and life can be unfair at times. Right? So thank you, Jennifer, for also raising that in the chat box. Same thing, also response from Angela. Having a good boss really matters. All right. And with that, we are going to end today's session. Thank you for joining me in this webinar. I hope I get to see you soon. Don't forget, we're going to have another webinar next week. Same time, same day on a Wednesday, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. In the meantime, if you are interested to watch our past webinars, all 100 plus of them, you can scan the QR code or copy the link into your browser, or you can claim a certificate also for this webinar that we have just conducted. Since it's still a Wednesday, I wish you the best for the next few weekdays. Have some rest during the weekend. Take care of someone that you love and continue being critical with your environment. Bye, guys.